Get smart with your spending with Nucenda's Breeze debit card. We've got your back by offering safe and easy access to your money. Never any hidden fees, just an account that makes sense. Download the Nucenda app to enroll in mobile and internet banking, managing your funds, making person-to-person transfers, and rounding up purchases to save. Visit Nucenda.org to explore Breeze accounts and join our credit union.
New members must be eligible for membership. Equal opportunity lender. Insured by NCUA.
Good day, folks, and welcome to another edition of Inside Santa Fe Public Schools podcast. I am Joe Abeta, and today I'm coming to you live from Carlos Gilbert Elementary School, and with me is sixth grade teacher Tanya Garcia. How you doing today, Tanya?
Good, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for coming on today. I really appreciate it. I know that you grew up here in Santa Fe, right?
Yes, I did.
So let's talk a little bit about that. How did Tanya, growing up as a child here in Santa Fe, let's talk a little bit about your journey. Where'd you go to elementary school?
I started off at Nava Elementary School. I attended kindergarten, first grade, and half of second grade there. Mm-hmm. And then I attended the rest of second grade through sixth grade at Agua Fria.
Okay.
And then I attended middle school at Capshaw.
Okay.
Santa Fe High my freshman year, and Capital sophomore, junior, senior year. Went there when it was brand new building.
Yeah. No, I was there too the first year of Capital. It was interesting that year, don't you think? Because it was kind of like we were still trying to find our identity. There were the juniors that had transferred. There were seniors at Capital, and they were still trying to find their, like, hey, we're going to be the first graduating class of Capital High. But it was just kind of there was a lot of like theater going on, things like that, right? In the first year at Capital.
Yeah. And trying to start traditions at this new school. I was pretty amazed that seniors would even want to go to a new school, being that they had been at Santa Fe High already.
Yeah.
But it was kind of cool that they wanted to be part of the new school.
Yeah, and it was a way of them maybe, leaving, maybe getting a little fresh start and kind of, making a mark on a big school, right? Because Santa Fe High was huge back then, remember? I mean, it was just a lot of kids. And the classes were big.
It was too big. Yeah.
It was. I transferred back my senior year, actually, after that, but it was just because of friends and stuff like that. But
sure.
Do you remember, one thing I remember is that Capital High, so we were trying to establish the school and everything. And I remember during the summertime, there was like this fashion show at Via Linda Mall at the time. And there was a bunch of Capital High students that were in there because I think Mrs. Mendoza had like a connection with somebody at Dillard's or at the mall. And so there was a bunch of like Capital High football players and future students that were in this fashion show that went on. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, I vaguely remember that.
Yeah. Long time ago. And then we had our first dance at Via Linda Mall, right? Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I think it was
it was a prom. Was it a prom or a homecoming?
Well, I don't know if it could be a homecoming because it was the first year.
Yeah.
But it was our first dance that we had there, I remember. Yeah. And we had it right there in the middle. So
that was
kind of cool. That was still trying, because I think the gym, there was some kind of a mishap with the gym.
The floor.
Yeah. The water, I think, I remember the
sprinklers.
Yeah. He put a lighter and so that happened. So we didn't have a gym floor for a little bit, but I remember that. A lot of things happening at Capital that first year, but it was a lot of fun. It definitely was a lot of fun. So, so then what kind of drove you into education? Tell me about that.
Well, I always knew that I wanted to attend a 4-year university. Mm-hmm. But I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. I definitely knew that I didn't want to be behind a desk all day.
Yeah.
I knew that I didn't want to do IT or work on a computer all day again, sitting behind a desk. Mm-hmm. So eventually, I chose the path of education. I really enjoy being around kids. I thought to myself, in a way, I'd rather be around kids than adults, maybe.
Yeah.
Sometimes that is hard, though, being around kids and not having, as much adult interaction in the workplace.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of what led me to it. I ruled out anything in the medical field. I kind of thought about that, kind of took some classes in that area. And I really love math. So I decided to become a math teacher.
Oh, wow. Wow. And so how long have you been a teacher for?
Oh man. Let's see. This is my 18th year.
Wow. Okay.
In Santa Fe Public Schools, and I taught for 4 years in Riverside County, California.
Oh, wow. Okay. So 22 years in education, and you were out in California.
Yes.
So if you don't mind me asking, then, so New Mexico, Santa Fe girl moves out to California. That must have been pretty interesting, huh?
Very. One of the main things that I learned is kids were the same there as they are here.
Yeah.
It was a little bit intimidating, maybe at a bit of a culture shock.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed my time there. I'm glad I did it. I missed home. That's why I ended up back in Santa Fe. But it was a really great experience. I'm glad that I did it.
Yeah. No, it is great. I went out to California too for a little bit, Navy stint, and then went to college out there. But then coming back home, and I mean this in the most warmest way, the simplicity of living in New Mexico, where there's not a lot of traffic and people know each other. And it just, there's some kind of a warm hug about New Mexico, right? When you move back, and you miss that being out in a bigger space, right?
Definitely. It really made me appreciate Santa Fe. Living in California made me appreciate Santa Fe.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I'm very proud to be from here.
Yeah.
When I went out there to interview, the principals there were kind of shocked that I was willing to leave Santa Fe, because many of them had visited and thought, it's beautiful here, and why would I want to go there?
And that's something, I think that we took for granted. I think when people come down here to like the plaza, or they just see how, because the plaza in this area is a very, very, it's the most famous part of our city, right? But there's a lot of other things too that make us who we are, make us the city different, I think. But yes, I do think that we take downtown for granted, because that's where we all met up to pretty much just hang out and figure out whose parents were out of town for the weekend and we were going to go and party, right?
Yeah.
So that was good. So did you start out as an elementary school teacher back here, and when you came back here to New Mexico?
So I actually taught at Ortiz Middle School for 12 years. So, and that was the path that I took, at UNM. I did the middle school cohort.
Okay.
I chose that cohort. I remember how tough it was to transition from elementary school to middle school. So, I wanted to be a support for those kids who may have also struggled.
Yeah. And were you teaching math back then too?
Yes.
Okay.
And so, after 12 years at Ortiz Middle School, it was a really great experience. Very good school. I needed a change. There was an opening here at Carlos Gilbert, so I applied for it, and here I am.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
It's a pretty cool school, a very beautiful school, right?
Yes.
Definitely fits the puzzle, I guess you will, of downtown for sure.
Yeah, the historical aspect of the building and just the beautifulness of the building itself, the hardwood floors, and everything that they were able to maintain about the building. This
school reminds me of like watching a 90s movie this would be the school that would be in the 90s movie for like elementary school. Like, I don't know, what was the Kindergarten Cop, Arnold Schwarzenegger, or some kind of fish out of water type thing, or being a teacher, this would be the backdrop for sure.
Yeah. Or even like A Christmas Story,
yes,
where kids looking out the big windows.
Yep, exactly.
At the boy's tongue stuck to the pole.
Yes, exactly. It has that feel to it. So this is a great school. My dad taught here forever. He retired from here, and I remember coming here back and forth and stuff, and then the remodel and all that. So it definitely is a Santa Fe Public Schools gem. That's for sure. So let's talk a little bit of shop here. Tanya, Miss Garcia. So what are you hoping, like, on the first day of, what's the message to your students when they come into your classroom? What are the foundation that you want to set for your classroom when they first come in, when you first get those fifth graders coming into sixth grade?
Definitely, growth mindset. Everybody comes in starting at a different place. All students learn, and, they learn things at different times. Some learn a little bit later, some learn sooner. And so just instilling in them that if they don't get it immediately, it's okay. There's still time for them to learn it. I ensure them that we'll go back to stuff that they struggled with. They'll constantly have an opportunity to learn if they didn't learn the first time around.
What are they learning in I mean, they've already learned division and multiplication by the time they get to you, right? What's the main focus, I guess, or the first lesson, and then what does it progress to? Okay,
so they do start, of course, multiplying and dividing, but we actually start with dividing multi-digit numbers, so long division, and then just making sure they've mastered adding, subtracting, multiplying multi-digit decimal numbers, and then dividing decimal numbers. So, and right now we're working with percents, and they have to know how to multiply decimal numbers. So sixth grade is very foundational for algebraic thinking.
Yeah.
They learn how to find unit rates, which is then introduced in algebraic equations, where they hopefully understand that unit rate is then the constant in an equation and the slope of a line. So it's very foundational for Algebra 1.
What do you think is where do you see like the, pedaling the bike and trying to get over that hump? What's the biggest struggle you think, during the year or the lesson that's most challenging for the students?
Definitely incorporating variables when they start seeing letters in a math sentence, in a math statement. That really is an obstacle. They sometimes get stuck. So that and then just still like making sure that they don't forget the algorithms for multiplying and dividing and all of that, just constantly, coming back to that, because they have to use that for other math that they're going to do later. Yeah. And sometimes, I'm very tempted to just give them a calculator. Yeah. But I still think at this grade level, it's important for them to keep practicing that.
Gotcha. I was going to ask you, so has math changed at all since you were in sixth grade? Is there a different way of teaching it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And we're still trying to get away from just showing kids the algorithms. It's, those are the fastest, most efficient ways to do math. The algorithms that mathematicians discovered a long time ago. So that's how we've taught math for the past 20, 40 years, 50 years. Okay. And we're trying to...
That's the math that we learned when we were... Okay.
Yes. And so we're trying to give kids more of an opportunity to discover those algorithms on their own.
Okay.
Discovering just different ways for them to sense numbers.
Okay.
Yeah, and sometimes it's hard because we have so many standards to teach, and it's just like go, like next. But it's unfortunate that, especially in the younger grades, that they can't focus more on foundational skills of just the basic operations, and then especially with fractions and decimal numbers. Yeah. Kids struggle with number sense, and I think a big reason is because we just go too fast. We don't spend enough time on a few of those very important concepts.
Yeah. Yeah. I know that I struggled till college with word problems. That was always the bane of me too. Right? Of just having to figure out, well, if there's an A in it, or if it says this word, look for this word, and it means this. And it was just always something and it's just practice, right? It's kind of one of those painstaking things of just practicing and breaking it down. But it's like you're having to analyze something, but also do math at the same time. And math is, but figuring out numbers and putting words to numbers and kind of blending in the English language with math, right?
Definitely. And I always wonder why a word problem just really throws kids for a loop. It's like, more than likely, if you're working on adding fractions, the word problem is going to be about adding fractions. And it's just, sometimes they just don't make that connection. Yeah. And really, I really don't want them to. I want them to, be faced with a word problem, and not just assume that, oh, it must be adding fractions, because that's what we're working on. I want them to be able to think deeper about that problem. Yeah. Yeah.
So what as far as what are you hoping then that your students leave with when they're leaving on? I mean, as far as math wise, overall as a person wise, going into middle school, what are you hoping, the whole year of spending the whole year in your classroom? What transformation are you hoping for when they leave your classroom?
Well, going back to solving word problems, I give them lots of opportunities to work collaboratively on word problems and more challenging problems. So they have that peer support. So I'm hoping that as they move forward, those word problems aren't intimidating. It's not like a problem that you're going to skip and go on to another one because you just don't even know how to go about it. So definitely them being able to think through challenging problems, and definitely having those foundational skills for algebra.
Yeah, that's important.
So important.
Just a real quick story. It's I kind of talked my way through high school math, which, with math or with any subject, it's really, you got to have that muscle memory, building that muscle memory of how to do things right. And so if you stop using it and kind of try and weasel your way out of it, you're going to have a weak muscle by the time you get to college. And so I struggled through college math for a long time. And I found a great teacher in community college finally after taking, several maths. But in the state of California, they have this thing where you have to take a competency math test before you can graduate in the Cal State system, which is interesting, right?
Yeah.
You pass a class, but yet I have to go and take a test. I already taken my final. I passed it, but I got to take another test that shows that I know math.
Just to be sure.
So I was in community college out there at a junior college out in San Diego. And my math teacher, I had him luckily for 4 semesters, which was amazing, right? And so he said, Joe, what I want you to do the moment that you need to make an appointment to go take that competency test, because everything will be fresh in your head. And then you don't have to worry about taking it when you graduate, when you transfer over to San Diego State. And so I was in line. It was a long line to take this competency test. And I have the gift of gab, and I started talking to people, and I was asking them, hey, have you taken this test before? Yes, I have. I've taken it like 4 or 5 times. And I said, oh, really? I said, so how long, until you graduate? What are you? She says, well, I've already graduated. I graduated like 4 years ago. I just haven't gotten my degree because I haven't passed this test. So, word to the wise, listen to your 6th grade math teacher now, even though there's probably not going to be a lot of 6th graders listening to this, but it just goes to show you how important it is to make those connections, like you were saying. So sorry about that little detour there, but it's true.
Yeah, it's true. And another thing is I feel like if my students truly learned something, they are going to remember it when they get to Algebra 1. Mm-hmm. So that's something I hope too, that they building that memory, like you said, that muscle memory, because that's another thing that happens from grade to grade. After the summer, they forget. They forget after a month, So I really feel like if they truly learned something, they will remember it months or even years down the road.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So is it something, have you had kids come back to you, say, thanks, Ms. Garcia, you helped us out so much? I'm imagining after, it must be a great reward. I mean, to have that to have kids come back to you. And I'm sure you're very popular when you go through the grocery store or whatever, you have kids coming up to you. Hey, Ms. Garcia, remember me? Right?
Yes, especially in this small city of Santa Fe, I do see students. Yeah. And more so I ask them about how math is going, and usually they feel pretty confident that they did learn most of what they needed to in 6th grade. Some are thankful. And yeah, it's just always great seeing students and out in public. Definitely, they do come back, and I know that they tell you their younger siblings, like Miss Garcia really taught us a lot. Make sure you pay attention.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you had, well, I don't know. I was going to say, so how old are your oldest students? It was 18. So now they're like in their 20s, right? Mid-20s?
Yep. Probably close to their 30s from Ortiz middle school students.
Are any of them old enough for you to be teaching
their kids?
Their kids?
Yep.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
How does that feel? Yep. There's a couple. There's definitely a kindergarten student and I think a 3rd grader.
Oh, wow.
And I was each of their parents' teachers at Ortiz Middle School.
Wow. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Ms. Garcia, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, it's 25 minutes almost. I remember you were like, hey, what are we going to talk about? Hey, we'll have a lot of things to talk about. Trust me. But thank you again for coming on today. And I hope we can have you on again at some time.
Sure. No problem.
Appreciate it. Miss Tanya Garcia, 6th grade teacher at Carlos Gilbert Elementary, folks. Want to thank you for joining us today. Have a safe week. Have a great week. Adios.